Hey guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I'm doing a VR to my homegirl V over at V Love and Crystals, and she has a list of all of these prompts dealing with different collections of our tarot and oracle decks. And she originally got this idea from somebody who created them as part of, I think, more like journaling prompts over on Facebook, but she decided to make it more appealing for tarot and oracle. And so I'll put all those links down below for you guys. And of course, her video for what I'm about to do today, which is a response to her my no sugarcoating decks. So yes, as you guys know, I'm all like unicorns and rainbows and cute things and neon and 80s and all of that. But I'm not one who really shies away really from, hard-hitting decks, and, and sometimes it's good to have some like really deep shadow decks, and sometimes, we need a little hug, and I think that I have a pretty good balance in my collection. However, the decks that I'm going to show you here, they are very good for shadow work, but also I don't think they are ones that I would cast aside if I needed some comforting words. So these don't shy away from anything. They do hit pretty hard, but it's not like getting hit upside the head, really. But they don't really sugarcoat anything either. So I know that, sometimes there are things I don't want to hear, but they say it anyway. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Before I do, since we're talking about no sugar coating decks, I decided to show off a little something that we've just added to Desert Cauldron. It's not quite in the shop yet, but I finished making them, and I only have 4 of them. But I have these Aphrodite attraction kits, and basically I've created my own personal blend of Aphrodite attraction oil. It's got a Lemurian quartz inside and some rose petals and some lovely essential oils that pertain to attraction, both learning to love and honor yourself, but also making yourself more attractive to those around you. Basically, it's upping all of your great qualities so others can see them. Sometimes we don't toot our own horn, enough, and it's hard for us to show others, the best parts of ourselves. And this little kit helps you to shine that much brighter to everybody around you. So being attractive not only to those that you're wishing to attract, but also to new relationships, like with friends and things like that. So I have a little bundle of rose petals here. I have a little citrine because, with joy, we need to bring joy into our life and help to see the joy within ourselves. And of course, a little cleansing with some Palo Santo. And I do a little write-up and tells you how you can utilize it. Of course, how you use things in your practice is always up to you. So it's more like just a suggestion. But this is some powerful stuff here. This is a personal oil blend, so it's one that I've used in the past, and I can say that it does work. So anyway, so I thought, we have a little love here in the corner while we get over to like the no sugar coating decks. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. First deck right off the bat is the Tarot Banksy, and this was created by Kuptilu. This was the updated kind of bougie version that she created with the silver edging and the better cardstock and all of that. But whew, Banksy, man. Banksy hits hard. So I like to use this deck. I just have to keep in mind that sometimes there are things that are not conscious yet, or not at the surface, or maybe things I don't want to deal with yet. But it's like, guess what? You get to deal with it now. I'm like, oh, that's great. But it's still cheeky. It's still fun. Like I said, I enjoy using it. It's just, don't expect anything to be glossed over at all. I mean, just like, look at the images, dude. So yeah, Banksy. And if you don't know who Banksy is a street artist. So known for politically charged and basically pointing out society's shadows and putting them into art. And so I think that Kuptilu did a great job turning that into a deck. Okay, our next deck here is the Antique Anatomy Tarot, and this is by Claire Goodchild. She's created a lot of fabulous decks, and I have most of them. But this one was the first deck that I ever got of hers. Let me just, there you go. And well, pun intended, it is a bare bones deck. I don't know. I just feel like the messages are loving, but it's like a parent that's like, I need to give you some tough love. Like, I love you, and here's some ways that you can deal with these things, and here's some ways to empower yourself, but also we need you to take care of business. And that's what I'm getting with this. It's, you know, I have the Antique Anatomy Ephemera edition, and that one I think is, I love even more because of all the flowers and everything, but I think it has more of a maternal feel to it, where it is this one, it's like a mix of maternal and paternal. And yeah, it's just like, hey, guess what you get to work on now? But we're going to be here to help you out. So yeah, I love this Antique Anatomy Tarot. I like to bust it out from time to time. Okay, moving on. This one may surprise you guys, and I keep it in this cool little pouch that I got off of Etsy. I don't quite remember the creator of the pouch. But this is the Dame Darcy Tarot. Okay, so I know that back in the day this one had like a bunch of controversy around it, but I've always loved working with this deck. However, it's like I have to prepare myself every time I use it, and I've used it in client readings, and I found that sometimes this deck is a little much, even for my client readings. You know, sometimes the people are like, whoa, I don't know if I was like ready for all of that. So unless I know the client really well, I haven't used it for client readings since. I just kind of use it for myself. But, you know, I mean, the images seems nice, you know, lovely colors, of course, but I don't know what it is about this, but this is just like, every chance it gets, it just wants to show you shadows. It's just like, how about this? How about this? How about, and I'm like, dude, like, really? Like, chillax. One shadow at a time. But yeah, like I said, this was like even much for some of my clients. They were like, wow, we're looking for all that yet. And I'm like, well, it's just, I'm sorry, this is just a hard hitting deck. So anyway, the Dame Darcy, yeah, for me personally, hard hitting, and apparently for clients as well. But I know some people work with it and they're like, oh wow, it's the most loving, gentle deck ever. And I'm like, really? Not me. Okay, moving on to my next little pouch one, and this is not boysenberry cobbler, by the way, but I wish I had some boysenberry cobbler right now because that's delicious. No, this is the Tarot of the Vampires, and actually this deck was gifted to me from James because this deck, according to him, he thinks this deck is mean to him because it's just like non-gentle messages, like not a gentle message in sight in this deck. For him, at least, it was like super hardcore. Like, he was like, hey man, like, wow, like, stop hurting, like, you're like hitting me upside the head, this hurts, like, what? And then I was like, oh wow, I love the images. And so I got it, and for me, yes, it hits hard, and it has a very fiery feel to it, but I'm not scared of it. Like, I don't find the messages scary, really, or evil or any of that. It just doesn't mess around. But it's like, we're kind of your friends, sort of. We want to help you, you know. So anyway, that was the Tarot of the Vampires. And I apologize if you guys hear any sort of lawn maintenance going on in the background. Oops, here we go. That's because it is Monday and it is lawn maintenance day. Okay, so this is the Dark Mirror Oracle cards by Laura Sava. Let me tell you, I don't bust this one out very often, but sometimes I know I need to, especially if it's, you know, I feel like more growth is needed. This is a shadow deck to the max. Like, sometimes I bust this out and I cry. Like, this will show you shadow and it will make you deal with things that you don't feel like you're ready or comfortable to deal with. So for me, this is probably the most hard hitting of all the decks that I'm going to show you. Like, even looking at it now, I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I just finished working on some stuff. Let me deal with that first. Okay, moving on to Mildred Payne's Oracle of Black Enchantments. And I do have the Mildred Payne Pocket Oracle. This is by Deviant Moon. Many of you guys have some of the other tarot decks from this. All right. I'll just take out some of them here. Okay, first of all, ginormous cards. Very cool. And for the most part, some of them have words on it, but for the most part they don't. But what comes through with these images is like, whoa. You really have to sit with it, like meditate with it a little bit. And you're like, okay. It's like not creepy as in like the images are scary, but sometimes what lurks in our own shadows can be a little scary, a little creepy. And so that's what it brings up for me, is it puts to the forefront things that like I know is a shadow, but maybe I'm not too clear on why it's there or where that shadow originated from. And I think this deck is really helpful for that. So highly recommend this deck, especially if you're looking into working on your shadows, or you're in the middle of shadow work, but you're like, why does the same shadow keep coming up again and again? Like, where the heck is this even coming from? That one's just really good for helping you out with that. Okay, then we have the Jade Oracle, or Oráculo Jade, and this is by Veronica Iglesias and Ann Key. And the artwork is by Ramona Snoteo. So, dude, many of the deities in here are Aztec, Mayan, and I believe a little bit of Toltec. And although the images and the keywords and everything on here are very simple, and even if you don't know anything about, deities of, Southern North America, Central America, I think that you would enjoy this for the color and the simplicity of the art, but also, what it says, underneath, like even if you don't know who any of these people are, or it's just the messages, dude. But I feel comforted by them. Like, it'll bring stuff up and then it's like, okay. So let's work on it. Like, don't freak out. Like, don't have a panic attack. Yeah. I love it so much. So freaking much, man. Oh, my goodness. The Jade Oracle. So, yeah, that one's comforting, but, it doesn't sugarcoat. It ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing. But for me, it's a lot more comforting. Like, don't expect that from the dark mirror. Okay. Then we go on to my soul deck. You guys have probably seen me with this deck many a times. This is a standby for a lot of my client readings. Like, I'm just, boom, it's got to be there. But this is the Star Power Tarot, and you can see on the back, this is by Charlie Quintero. The artwork is just phenomenal, and anytime it's like, give me the answers, like give it to me straight, like tell me just what's going on. I'm confused about X, Y, or Z, and oftentimes it'll call me out on my shit, and it'll be like, yeah, you're your own worst enemy. Like, how about that? You keep wondering why this is da-da-da-da, and it's because of you. And sometimes that's hard to hear because you want to, like, not think that it's you. Maybe it's something else. But you know that it's coming from a loving place. So it's not like Mean Girls or something where they're like just like snapping stuff at you. It's like, yeah, it's you, but I mean, so like, are you gonna cry about it, or are we gonna do something? And it like really wants to work with you. It's like, okay, let's do something about it. So that is my ride or die deck. Star Power, freaking love it. Best deck on the planet, according to me. All right, the next few decks are all part of the like rebel decks. Actually, maybe I should just pull out all of them here. And this one's got some cheeky like fish knitting. So anyway, this is the original Rebel deck. It says Oracle with Attitude. Then they came out with a couples edition, and then they came out with a game. So let me just give you an idea of what this looks like. So it doesn't look like your traditional Oracle decks, I guess. Let me just pull out a few cards here. I think you can already tell by this first card that this isn't sugarcoating anything. This is definitely a no sugarcoat deck. You look like a shit show. Thanks. But then there's something on the back. You're a hot mess. Fact. Clean yourself up. And sometimes you need somebody to just give it to you straight. You don't need people going around kissing your backside, because what does that really even get you in the end? So, by the way, there is a lot of swearing in here, and the Rebel deck doesn't care. If that offends you, why does it offend you? I like this one. Ask an effing expert. Don't rely on your friends or the internet. Listen to a damn professional. Sometimes you need to get a professional reading, or you need to go to a professional person who does Reiki or acupuncture or, aura cleansing, whatever it is. Sometimes you need a professional. So you get the idea. I think you get the gist of the Rebel deck. So it does something very similar with the couples edition and the game. And let me show you the game too, because that's actually fun. So couples edition, this is romantic couples. And again, bringing up some stuff like, do you really love them? Like, whoa, you're like, I'm in a relationship. Like, are you serious? And on the back it says, then wash, fold, and put away the clothes. It's like, sometimes if you say, oh, I love this person, but you're not putting any work into it, like this calls you out on it. It's like, hey, oh my gosh, effing say it. Resentment kills the magic. Sometimes the things that kill relationships is lack of communication. But yeah, this is all connected to mostly romantic relationships, but I think there's a lot in here that could pertain to like friendships and stuff, and stuff with your family. Like, you are not being heard. Say that shit again, louder. That could pertain to romantic or platonic, I think, relationships, especially with this like unplug. So this one's really good, but doesn't sugarcoat, but I think that that's needed, especially if you're wanting to grow a relationship. You want it to grow and be better, then you're gonna need to work on stuff. You can't just pretend that everything's always going to be hunky-dory. The way things stay hunky-dory is that you work on stuff. Okay, so the Rebel deck game, you see it comes in two colors here, and that's because there's two parts to the game. Let me just pull out a little bit. There's a scenario, and then there's an answer section of the deck. So like, it gives you a scenario like, blank could cure everything. You pull out the answer, bacon. Bacon could cure anything. But what's cool is you can, what I like to do is I like to pull out the scenarios, but I pull out a tarot deck to go with it. So like, let's say I pull this one, where it says, why am I even asking this deck for guidance? Blank would be a better use of my time. And then I could pull a tarot card, like let's say it's the Ace of Pentacles or something like that. How does that fit into there? Or I could just pull one of their answer cards. Compassionate detachment would be a better use of my time. So it's a game, kind of. I think it just makes working with the deck a little bit more interesting and fun. So maybe you guys want to go check that out if you're interested. And those of you that aren't offended by naughty language. So those are the Rebel decks. Okay, and then we get into the Wild Unknown archetypes. Okay, so I have the Wild Unknown Tarot. I love it, but I don't feel like it's one that like hits too hard. I think it's, it's a good, decent working deck. But then Kim Krans came out with the archetypes. And this one I think is a lot more raw. I don't know why, it's just the feel that I get with this. So it is circular, which is kind of cool. But here you have all these different archetypes here. the bridge, the mask. Like let's say you're trying to uncover certain things about situations, like why isn't it working? It's like maybe you're wearing a mask. What is that mask that you're wearing? So these cards beg you to dive deeper. Like sometimes it could be very easy for us to pull a few cards and be like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool answer. Yeah, I need to work on that. But these ones, it isn't like that. So let's say you pull the siren and you're like, what do you mean the siren? It's begging you, please, like look deeper, look more than just looking at these beautiful images. Like it's a lot deeper. Like really, seriously, help yourself. This one is sad to me. It's just so sad. I'm like, and then I have to think like, why is that sad to me? Why does that make me feel that way? It's just asking you like, look at yourself, grow as a human being, uncover those things. Oh my goodness, yeah. So that definitely doesn't sugarcoat. All right, and then I have one more deck to show you guys. Some of you guys probably been eyeballing it during this video. But that is my Santa Muerte Tarot. And many of you guys know that I do work with La Santísima Santa Muerte. And I actually have one of her statues on my altar because she's one of my female deities. So my main deity is actually Ishel, but I work with her as well. And I did a little video called, getting to know Santa Muerte, and that's actually like one of my most popular videos. So anyway, here we go. And the artwork, oh my gosh, beautiful. This is by Fabio Lestrani, and I love the artwork, but it's like the messages that come through is just no room for any sort of like comfort or leeway. It's just like, here's the answer. Like it or not, this is the answer. You go deal with it however you want to deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, thanks for ripping off the bandage. All right, what do I do what do I do now? It's like, I don't know. Like, you figure it out. But of course, you can always consult and say, okay, I need some options, or like, what's the best course of action? It'll be like, okay, here's your options. You're like, well, I don't like those options. It's like, well, then change it. It's very logical, very matter of fact. At least for me. And you got to keep in mind that sometimes it's our own personalities, our own what do they have in psychology, the ego, the id, and the superego. It's kind of like how our own ego comes out with these decks, and it's really just like ourselves reflecting back at us. So if I find this is hard hitting, like what about myself is reflecting back at me, whereas somebody else might see this deck, oh, this deck is really loving and caring, and so that's just something about their ego that's reflecting back at them, and and there's stuff to learn about that. All right, you guys, that was everything in my no sugarcoating decks VR to V over at V Love and Crystals. She has so many wonderful prompts. I can't wait to see what other little collections I could come up with based on her prompts. But yeah, so I'll put all her information down below so you can see her original video plus where she gets her ideas and things like that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any of these decks. Are these considered your no sugarcoating decks, or are they a little bit softer for you? Because I know it's different for everyone. But this was a lot of fun. I always enjoy making these videos. I think it's a great time to just kind of bust out my decks and play with them and stuff like that. So anyway, if you dug this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe, and don't forget to click that ding 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 notification bell for more videos just like this. And if you want to catch a reading from me, head over to www.kittenswaitsandtarot.com. I have a lot of different reading styles, including conjumancy, I have Lenormand, I have scrying sessions, I have rainbow bridge readings where I connect with your loved ones that have crossed over the rainbow bridge. I have mediumship readings and lots of other things, so definitely check it out. I have my room and body sprays, I have my salves that I make, my Goddess of the Rose salve being one of my most popular, and as you know, like I like to incorporate roses into a lot of things. But if you're looking for more things like this, as I was mentioning earlier, then head over to Desert Cauldron. It's all one word on Etsy, or check us out on the Instagrams at desert.cauldron. And basically we have one-of-a-kind witchy items that were handmade by us or made by local artisans or artisans from afar. But we want to make sure that everything that we have in the shop is special. It's one of a kind because we know that you guys have very personal, one of a kind practices, and we want our products to reflect that. So definitely check us out over there. Like I said, we are Desert Cauldron on Etsy, and yeah, come dance in the desert with us. All of my other information down below for my Patreon, you know, where I have all my different tiers. I have my crystal tier, I have my live chat tier, and all that stuff is exclusive to my Patreon homies. I have my newsletter that comes out only once a month with other like witchy goodness and DIYs and books that I'm reading and decks that I'm using. I also have my Leon Mystery School because what? I'm the head mistress. And I teach Mayan astrology, but there are other courses taught by some other teachers in case you guys are interested. But yeah, I have all that stuff down there, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.